One of the most hotly debated issues in Trenton and around the state has been education reform. Steve Adubato recently sat down with former Republican Party Chairman, Assemblyman Webber, to discuss the key issues surrounding New Jersey's education system.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato for NJToday. We are pleased to be joined by Assemblyman Webber, who in fact represents the 26th Legislative District, which is where, Assemblyman?
Eastern Morris, Northern Passaic.
And also
it's shifting now to Western Essex, right here in Fairfield.
That was a good segue into quote-unquote redistricting.
Right.
Tell folks what redistricting really was and what it means, because you played a key role on behalf of the Republicans in trying to shape the legislative districts, which did not turn out the way you folks wanted.
Right, unfortunately. Well, every 10 years, the legislative districts in New Jersey have to be redrawn to account for population change. And the census was done in 2010, and so the districts are redrawn in 2011. There's a bipartisan commission. Democrats and Republicans get together and try to agree on a map.
And never agree?
Never agree, and a tiebreaker comes in and makes the call at the end. Unfortunately, this year, we thought the tiebreaker made a bad call and drew a map with the stated intention of advantaging the Democrat Party, as opposed to giving a map that was competitive to both parties and letting the people decide who should control the legislature. All that being said, we got elections this November, and we plan on winning on this map.
By the way, point of clarification, Alan Rosenthal, a professor at the Eagleton Institute at Rutgers University, was in fact that 11th member who came in, made that decision, and according to Dr. Rosenthal, whom I know very well, former professor of mine at Rutgers, he did it down the middle, looked at the districts and made that decision, having nothing to do with any desire to have one party or the other control the legislature.
That's not what he said when he made his decision. The day he cast his vote, he said this is a Democrat-leaning state and the map should reflect that. And we objected to that, and that was one of the few stated public rationales that Professor Rosenthal gave for his decision.
Assemblyman, I believe what he said was having to do with party registration, that there were more Democrats, registered Democrats than were registered Republicans.
That's a fact. I'll get you the quote. We'll agree to disagree now.
Okay.
But really, one of the professors stated public justifications for choosing the map was it's a Democrat-leaning state and the map should reflect that, which I thought was circular and unfair.
Let's talk about education, but on a different level, education reform. The two biggest areas of education reform in your mind include what?
Giving students in failing schools an opportunity to get out of them and get into schools that will teach them, and revamping the way we think about how we compensate and reward teachers for the good work that they do.
So-called merit pay.
Yes.
Let's deal with the merit pay issue first.
Sure.
The New Jersey Education Association, which is one of the underwriters of some of our programming here, for full disclosure, but the fact is they and many others question the tying of student performance. A teacher works hard in an urban area or wherever, but particularly in an urban area, and for a whole range of reasons, Assemblyman, outside of the teacher's control, the student doesn't perform. How can you measure the teacher's performance and then pay the teacher based on that student's performance if, in fact, that child's facing so many obstacles outside of school? Is that fair?
It is, because the reason teachers are there is to get the kids to perform. And I don't think any system of merit pay that we would adopt in New Jersey or even recommend in New Jersey would be based solely on a student's performance. It wouldn't be fair.
What else is it based on?
Evaluations by their principal, peer evaluations, other factors that would go into the mix. But certainly, student performance has to be a main component of any evaluation of the job a teacher's doing.
You like the idea of school choice, do you not?
I do.
Describe it.
Well, what we're trying to accomplish in the legislature now is give students in failing schools in Newark, Asbury Park, Camden, Trenton, the opportunity to opt out, get out of a school that's not teaching them and get to a school that will. And if we give parents and students an opportunity to do that, the student will benefit, but the schools will benefit as well. They'll benefit in a couple of ways. The public schools, they'll benefit from the competition, knowing that they could lose students if they don't perform and teach them. But also, as a purely financial matter, an economic matter, what we would do is give a student a scholarship to get out of a failing school and go to a private school or a charter school, wherever they want to go. But only about half of what is spent on that student in the public school. And so the public school retains a lot of funds, and actually their per pupil spending will increase if students leave the public school.
You've said such a good idea to some, and why has it never happened?
There's some entrenched forces that don't want to see it happen.
More specifically,
the NJEA.
Teachers Union.
Absolutely, because competition is something that a union generally doesn't like.
Well, they also argue you're siphoning off money that should go to the public schools to those who choose not to send their kids to public schools.
Right. Well, and as I'm explaining, the actual per pupil spending in the public school will go up because when a student leaves one public school, takes his or her scholarship with him or her to the new school, the rest of the money stays behind with the public school.
You think it's going to pass?
I do.
You do?
I do.
You think it's going to pass both houses of the legislature, go to the governor?
Absolutely. I do, because we have a large coalition of Democrats and Republicans who support it. We have parents in cities, like Newark and Camden and Trenton who are begging for it because they only get one shot. These kids only get one shot at their childhood, and it can't be wasted in schools that don't teach them.
Promise us that you'll come back at NJ Today and give us an update in the spring.
Happy to.
Jay Webber on NJ Today, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.